Labor unions built the middle class, and the middle class built America. That's the message from Teamsters Local 1932, a strong and successful labor union based in San Bernardino that represents over 14,000 hardworking people across the Inland Empire. The Teamsters are ready to help you organize for better pay, increased benefits, and improved working conditions. Reach out to Teamsters 1932 at teamsters1932.org/organize to speak with an organizer today.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377, extension 224.
Are you underpaid and overworked? Is a living wage and employee benefits like affordable health care more of a dream than a reality for you and your family? If so, it's time to form a union. Don't be denied the wages and benefits you deserve. Come together in a union with the power of numbers. A union is not a privilege, it's your right, and it will make a difference. Contact Teamsters Local 1932, a powerful and successful labor union in San Bernardino, by visiting teamsters1932.org/organize to start today. And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is The Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here. Today on the big program, lots to get to, lots to talk about. Let's start off with the debt ceiling vote about to happen. My congressman, Scott Perry, he said he is a firm no. He's a firm no. Not going to vote for it. Not bad. In fact, he even went as far as to call, some of his Republican colleagues swampy. Oh, that hurt. Swampy Republicans are behind the wheel of this deal, and he's not going to have it. In fact, he went as far to say that all of the reality that people have been talking about not paying your bills, evidently in his world, if you don't pay the bills, now this is a very Trumpian thing to say. I got to give him credit. He's going full on Trump here. If you don't pay your bills, nothing bad's going to happen. According to him, the United States won't default. Not going to default on its debt, even if this fails. Not going to happen. Janet Yellen evidently is just a liar. She's making it all up. Here's the thing. Here's my problem, and this is the reality of the moment that we're in. There are a lot of Scott Perrys out there. There are a lot of Scott Perrys in Congress who reality doesn't touch between their ears. They have this alternative reality that it just isn't there. And look, the reason I said very Trumpian is Trump's a guy who's filed bankruptcy multiple times. He's never lost his house. Now, bad things have happened to everybody else around him, but that's not his problem. That's somebody else. And I got to think that's the Scott Perry thought process here. And look, the lunatic fringe, they're not going to vote for this legislation. They really wanted to shoot the hostage. I mean, I said from the beginning, I thought Scott Perry was one of the crazy caucus who truly did want to default, truly did want to shoot the hostage in this environment, and they're not happy. If there is a positive takeaway from this, it's that the crazy caucus isn't firmly in the driver's seat. The radical fringe didn't get everything that they wanted out of the 15 rounds of voting that it took McCarthy to become speaker and to sell his soul. It appears that all of that was for naught. All of that display, that performative bread and circus, all of that was for nothing because they didn't get what they wanted. This is what they wanted. This was their Super Bowl. This was supposed to be it. And look, honestly, I thought the Republican Party was a little bit further down the road on the fringe. I did. There are some that do care about governing and do have some sane fiscal ideas. Now, am I thrilled with this deal? No, not even a little bit. I don't think there should have been any deal here. There should be no debt ceiling. It's ridiculous. We've normalized Republicans taking the country hostage every time this pops up. Every time there's a Democrat in the White House and Republicans hold the House. I guess the lesson is here, don't allow Republicans to hold the House. For me, this is it going into 2024. That's the rallying cry. And all of the Scott Perrys of the world, those are targeted seats to go, look, you got a guy who's not attached to reality. Maybe somebody else. Now, here's the weird thing. You could get people worse. But in someone like Scott Perry's district, which is a little bit more competitive than it's been over his tenure, it's possible to get somebody sane and rational. I'm not saying likely, I'm saying possible. Now, here's the thing. McCarthy still has a problem because, and it's a real problem, because his job is to get stuff done. His job is to move an agenda through past legislation because that's what a speaker does. His job, pass bills. Nancy Pelosi was very good at this. But here's the thing. When you pass bills in this kind of really tight environment, passing bills just makes him look weaker and much more vulnerable. And because there's already, there's all the chatter out there. Oh, we're gonna go after him. We're gonna get rid of him. We're gonna call for a motion to vacate. And we're gonna do all this stuff. They're not doing that. Trust me, they're not going to go after McCarthy because what they've just shown how weak they are. They don't have the votes. And Democrats have shown that they're willing to govern. So that really puts the crazy caucus in a weird spot. Now they can kick and scream and be childish and whine and do the things that Scott, Perry does, along with Gates and Marjorie Trainwreck Green and the rest of them. But they're not moving their agenda, which is chaos. They did it to McCarthy, but I don't know that it's going to work here because what are the options for them? Okay, let's say that they take McCarthy out. Who replaces them? Nobody. Who's the alternative? Nobody. Nobody wants the job, especially when you're so tenuously tied to it that any one idiot can call a motion. Which I got to be honest, if someone like Brian Fitzpatrick were to step up and say, I'll be dumb enough to take the gavel, I'm sure there would be a Republican every day shutting things down. So, gonna be interesting in seeing how this plays out. But I did find it interesting that today you had McCarthy coming out and saying that he's putting together a commission. This is an interesting thing for me. He got pretty badly whipped. The old guy took him to school. Be honest, Biden won this because Republicans didn't get really that much. They got a little bit, but not that much. Not as much as they probably should have, with really the threat of throwing the country into chaos, which I think is why I think they lost this, because Biden was shrewd about it. The old doddering old fool who's Sleepy Joe took him to school, which I think is hysterical. Because you listen to the right, oh, he's a doddering old fool, but the doddering old fool just whipped your behind. And that's got to sting. It's got to sting a little bit, which is why McCarthy today came out and said that he's got this commission and they're going to look at, I don't know what look at means, but they're looking at going after Social Security and Medicare. He says, I'm going to make some people uncomfortable. And he went after Biden. And again, listen, old folk, people my age, going to be getting towards Social Security and retirement. Listen to what I'm telling you right now. These are the words out of McCarthy's mouth. He went after Biden for walling off cuts to Social Security and Medicare. It was a non-starter in Biden's world. It was a non-starter with Sleepy Joe, Dark Brandon, whatever your name for him is. It was a non-starter. Republicans wanted it. And, you remember the State of the Union address where they act incredible. Oh my gosh, you what? Us? Me? Cut Social Security? Never. We would never do such a thing except for every day that we've said we're going to. This is an interesting moment because you've now got McCarthy trying to salvage some of his reputation with the Kook caucus, going, no, relax. We'll go get him. We'll go get the stuff you want. You pass that look, listen, steal, grow, make the country bankrupt bill or whatever that was. You passed it. We got it passed. I didn't use it. Wanted no part of it. You got none of it. But hey, now we're going to go get him. Now, this time, we're going to go do it. And I got to wonder if the crazy caucus is going to fall for it. Because this is one of those moments where McCarthy's like I said, he's in a weird spot because he's got to get stuff done, got to get stuff moved through. That's the legacy maker. And if you're not, well, going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, I fully expect the legislation to pass. I expect it to go through the Senate. I expect the president to sign it. There are people on both the right and the left signaling that they are going to vote against it. Bernie Sanders came out and said he's going to vote against it. And I agree with Bernie 100% that in this moment, cutting food programs and cutting help for seniors and for homeless people, probably the wrong thing to do. It seems mean-spirited, seems evil. But this is what the Republicans wanted. And it wasn't as drastic, it wasn't as much, but it's still there. So Bernie did come out and say, look, we're not falling for this. I'm not voting for it. Now, is his vote going to matter? No, I think you're going to get enough. I think you're going to get enough people who are going to vote through it to get it passed out of the Senate. I think that'll happen. Because, the Senate, the upper chamber, the more thoughtful supposedly, they don't want to be responsible for the economy taking a nosedive. They don't want to be responsible for what will come after June 5th if we do hit that date and don't pay our bills. So I do expect it will pass, just without Bernie's vote. But Bernie is right. These budget things are about our priorities as a country. And what Republicans repeatedly show us, and this is one of those moments where when do we believe them? They are repeatedly showing us that they don't care about working people. They certainly don't care about the poor. I mean, they wear their religiosity on their sleeve. The thing that tells them to go and help the poor, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless. Those are nice words on a page, but it doesn't come out in their actions. The budget is their action. That look, listen, feel up, whatever, steal, grow, I don't know, whatever that was that came out of the House, that, if that's your religiosity at work, I got a question if you understand what the book says. I got to check your reading comprehension. Maybe that homeschooling not doing you any justice. But the rest of us, these are learning moments. These are opportunities to pay attention and go, what they say and what they do don't always mesh. But sometimes they do. They have repeatedly said they want to go after all of the social safety net programs. They want to go after Social Security. They want to go after Medicare. They want to go after Medicaid. They want to go after aid for the poor. They want to go after low-income housing. Glenn Grothman, the Wisconsin representative, the scourge. How dare they not kick those low-income people to the curb, make them get married. This is one of those moments where the sane and the rational, the majority of this country, the silent, sane, rational, have to vote like their lives matter. Look, the Trump supporters of the world, they don't care. They don't even care about the issues. They care about their leader. They care about the outrage. It's time for working people to come together and be that that change, be part of something that's going to move us in a positive direction. That silent majority that gets up every day, goes to work, busts their behind, and still struggling to make ends meet, but still gets up and does it day after day after day, only to be mistreated by our political system at every single turn. At some point, we got to get tired of this and start throwing some of these bums out. And that's where my mind is. All the outrage candy aside, it comes down to what they do. And this hostage situation, this latest hostage taking, should be a wake-up call for us all. I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. If you miss any portion of the program, make sure you grab the podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You will find ours. Quick break. Right back.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
The phone lines are open. Give Rick a call at 1-866-416-RICK. That's 1-866-416-7425.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
I'll tell you, I find it interesting that all of the Republican frontrunners, they're all on board with default. All of them seem to want to default and take us down. And it's just one of these things where you go, what priorities do you have? Is it your narrow-minded agenda? We've got to cut and hurt poor people. When my congressman, Scott, pardon me, Perry, when he came out against it, my first thought was it must be a good deal, because he was one of the first people that I looked to. Where is he going to be on this? So when he was like, I'm against it, I said, it must not hurt working people enough, because that's where they keep putting us. Let's quick go to the phones. Got Alice on one. Alice, how are you?
Totally insane. How's that?
Back to normal. What's on your mind?
What I wanted to say was, West Virginia is a perfect example of a state that has been taken over by the Republicans. They're pretty much, their legislature is pretty much red. And that state
Not just
is so
pretty much,
up.
Alice. They've got veto-proof majorities and a Republican governor.
Yeah, well, I was trying to be tactful.
Okay.
You really don't want to know what I wanted to say. But anyways, it is so messed up. I still do not have death certificates for my husband. I have called about the autopsy, and I have been told that, well, it's going to be a few more days. I'm like, my God, it's been 6 weeks. But it is totally insane. Like the hospital he was in, it is a part of the university, and like I told you before, you have to pretty much you have to show your ID, get your picture taken, the whole 9 yards. But West Virginia passed a law, and it also applies there. You can carry a gun into the hospital now.
Yeah.
But I guess, as my son said, well, gee, Mom, this way when you get pissed off and shoot the doctor, you've got your little name tag on with your picture, and they know who did it. So everybody better set up and pay attention, because this is how crazy they are, and this is what they want to do to the rest of the United States. And it's just insane. I mean, I don't even have I'm still working on getting my husband's Social Security because I was getting Social Security before, but for some odd reason, I had to fill out another form and go through everything. So, yeah, um, they're just screwing everybody over.
There's
But
no,
y'all have a good evening.
thanks, Alice. And imagine how much worse it would have been had this continued and they actually did default. And man, the craziness that comes out of this. And look, these are the people who tell us, do you remember them flying the blue flags? We support law enforcement. Not so much now. I mean, you've got the Heritage Foundation, who tweeted out the FBI is no longer a law enforcement agency. It's become a political weapon for the left. It's time to scrap the FBI and start over from scratch. You got Marjorie Three Names, who again, you remember, all in favor, had the blue flags, love surrounded herself with people in uniforms. She's out there hawking defund the FBI T-shirts and hats. I mean, the outrage level ramping, and amusingly so on a certain level, but dangerously so, because it's not even about fixing problems that are real. It's about imagined slights in a lot of places. And this is where I find we're in a weird spot. Because they want to ramp up the violence, they want to ramp up the rhetoric, get people all lathered up in the panties and ready to go at each other. And when real crimes pop up, they want to divert. For instance, today, the big breaking news all across when does breaking news stop being breaking news? When does it become broken news? I should go like that. It's broken news. Evidently, there's now a tape of Donald Trump basically talking about classified documents that he kept after leaving the White House, and that he knew he shouldn't have. Talked about, evidently this 4-page report that was written up that would have attacked Iran, and there have been deployments of massive numbers of troops. It was basically John Bolton's wet dream. But he was talking about it with someone who was writing a book about Mark Meadows, and you go, oh, how? Why? And look, he doesn't even try and say, no, that's not me on the tape. No, I don't have any documents. He's not even saying that he has the right anymore. Now it's attacking, well, there's these leaks. We got to go after the leakers. No, we got to go after the person who's responsible for all of this. And that's the guy on the tape. And part of me got into this space today where my mind is in a spot where this leak happened, I think, as a primer to what is going to come. I've said that I think he will be indicted on the documents. I've said this before, and I've had guests who say, no, it's never going to happen. I've said I think this is the one that's is dangerous for him because it is national security stuff. It is provable. He did try and get around it. But now that there's a tape with his voice on it, there's part of me that goes, this is being floated out there to kind of maybe head off the call to arms when he is arrested. Because look, the Trump minions, it's not about getting things done. It's not about, the stuff we talk about sometimes about, the jobs that were lost anymore. It's not about that. It's about anger. It's just about grievance. It's just about, we're angry, we're upset, and we're going to make everybody miserable. That's really what the Trump cult is about, because they're never angry with him for not doing any of the things that he said he was going to do. I mean, they're constantly getting fleeced. Every time you turn around, there's a new scheme to get into MAGA world's pockets and line somebody else's pockets by grifting them, Trump included. They never go after them. It's always the attention getting. It's always the grievance stuff. So I think that this leak was partially, and probably, and I may be wrong, a primer to say, look, this is real. This is, get ready because indictments are coming. Trump's lawyers have even told him, get ready, there are indictments coming. It will happen. This is one of those things that just makes you go, it's moving me in a direction where I think it's happening. It's going to happen, but this is a primer for getting us to the point where we where we say, maybe this is the right direction. Maybe we do need to pursue this. Maybe we do need to hold someone accountable. Maybe we do need transparency. Maybe we need to claw back our ability to hold people responsible for what they do. Remember, the Republican Party used to be the party of responsibility. I remember it anyway. Question is will Trump run while being tried? And what happens if he wins? Does he get to pardon himself? We'll ask that question and many more in the next segment. Quick break. Right back. Stick around. I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1921. That was the day one of the worst race riots in American history began in Tulsa, Oklahoma. In a frenzy of anti-black violence, a white mob destroyed virtually the entire black neighborhood of Greenwood. Over the course of the next 2 days, as many as 300 mostly black residents were killed. Black Wall Street had been burned to the ground, leaving 10,000 homeless. The day before, Dick Rowland, a young black man, tripped as he boarded an elevator at his job. He fell against the young white woman elevator operator. When she shrieked, nearby department store employees assumed she had been assaulted. Rowland was arrested, and newspapers fanned the flames of race violence and vigilantism. And on this day, white racist mobs surrounded the Tulsa County Courthouse where Rowland was being held and demanded he be turned over to them. Returning black veterans had become increasingly assertive about their rights as citizens. They marched to the courthouse armed in an attempt to prevent Rowland's lynching. When the vets refused to disarm in the face of the demands by the white mob, gunfire ensued, touching off 16 hours of fighting that literally decimated the community black workers and professionals had built up over the course of decades. The National Guard was called out, mainly to disarm and round up black residents of Greenwood. Witnesses reported that Greenwood was bombed from the air by police and by Sinclair Oil Company planes. The history of the riot was buried for more than half a century. It would take until 1997 for the Oklahoma State Legislature to set up a commission to uncover the bloody details, which produced a 200-plus page report and recommended millions in reparations. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show.
Do mass protests matter anymore? Even when large numbers turn out with a high level of outrage directed at abusive corporate or governmental elites, the powers that be usually just hunker down and wait for the fury to pass. But the one form of protest that actually gets to even the most aloof elite is cultural caricature. In recent decades, the creative deployment of giant puppets, satirical songs, pop-up parodies, and other forms of social mockery has pierced the ego shields of haughty corporate chieftains and puffed-up politicos. They ignore angry speeches, but public ridicule stings them personally, energizing the larger community. Consider how common household utensils can rally the people's discontent, rattle the establishment, and deliver a message of revolutionary protest. In recent years, mass rebellions, armed with nothing but kitchenware, have noisily made their points in such disparate places as Chile and Iceland. And today, the people of France are bedeviling their country's aristocratic wannabe, President Emmanuel Macron, with a ceaseless mass clanging of skillets, saucepans, spoons, and other plebeian cookware brought from their French kitchens into the streets of every region. They are protesting the president's imperious decision to undercut their pensions, as well as his tone-deaf refusal even to hear their complaints. So their voice has become the incessant banging of pots. Now, Macron can't go anywhere without being greeted and often drowned out by the cacophony of casserolade, the saucepan movement. The protest is driving Macron crazy, which seems to be a very short ride for him. Clearly irritated by the commoner's cleverness, his government is now using anti-terrorism laws to ban, quote, the use of portable sound devices in protests. This is Jim Hightower saying the crazier he gets about pots and pans, the louder people laugh at their leader.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So it looks like the House has approved the debt ceiling deal. It's going to allow the U.S. to borrow more money to keep the economy going and not default, not crash the global economy. The vote by a 314 to 117 margin. You had 165 Democrats joining 149 Republicans to move forward on the 99-page bill. Bipartisan. So you look, this is why I was saying McCarthy's in a weird spot. Still got the crazy people, still got them, but they're not as powerful as well. The 15 rounds of getting to be Speaker would have let us believe. And here to share some thoughts on the vote and what this means for McCarthy and company, I've asked our good friend Chris Hahn to come talk with us. He is the aggressive progressive host of that podcast, also a syndicated radio host across the country. Chris, thanks for taking time for us.
Thanks for having me, man.
So, thoughts?
I mean, 71 Republicans voted no. I think his deal to become Speaker meant that any one of them can go do a motion to vacate. I don't think they have enough votes for anybody else to be Speaker. So if they make a motion to vacate, do moderate Republicans, those that are left, like from the governing wing of the party, form a coalition with Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats? I mean, Hakeem Jeffries said you need 150 votes for this to pass from the GOP. They got 149. I assume that they actually got 150 because the Speaker tends to not vote in the House, so they did get exactly 150. I don't know. 71's a lot. I didn't think he was going to lose 71 people, but maybe they just thought, well, you know, some of them thought, well, it's going to pass. They don't need my vote. I don't want to be primaried. You know, like, what's her name? Nace down in South Carolina, who I always thought was one of the more normal members of the caucus. She announced very early she wasn't voting for this. But maybe she saw the writing on the wall and said, I don't want to get primaried because she is one of the more normal ones and she's susceptible to be primaried.
Yeah, and that's something that people have to understand, that there are some votes that people go, go whichever way that's going to get you reelected.
Yeah, take a walk if you need it.
Yeah. And because, look, this wasn't close.
No, it wasn't close.
Just like a minute ago, I talked about Senator Sanders, who said he's voting against it. This isn't in peril in the Senate either, I don't think.
No, it's not in peril in the Senate. It's going to pass the Senate with a similar margin, percentage margin. It's going to easily pass the Senate. There are fewer crazies in the Senate. You know, Tim Scott says he's going to vote against it because he's running for president. I don't think if he wasn't running for president, I mean, let's say he's still in the race tomorrow, assuming he's still going to be in the race tomorrow. He says he's going to vote no.
I think he's in the race, and I think a lot of more people are going to be jumping into the race.
Yeah, but like Tim Scott's another one that, you know, you look at, you go, okay, he's a conservative, but he's not a maniac. And he's out there right now saying, I'm voting no on this. You know, I disagree with him on a lot of things, but I never thought he was crazy. You know, I hate this. I hate the politics here.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the politics is that to be a conservative in America today, you have to burn the house down, or at least pretend to burn the house down. In the case of Scott and Mace, I don't think either one of them really want to burn the house down, but they you know, they're trying to get. Scott's got no lane in the GOP primary, but you know, if he voted yes, there's even less of a lane. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all of the Republican contenders for president, and they're all, you know, blow up the economy, default. We're against it, and you go.
Well, Chris Christie, who's going to get in the race tomorrow.
He's not in.
Getting in tomorrow. That's an interesting one for me. Chris Christie is a real puncher, right? You know, Ron DeSantis is trying to become a puncher. He's never been a puncher. I saw him say elites 70 times over the weekend. I think a guy who went to Harvard and Yale might be an elite. I'm just
spitballing.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it. I mean, Harvard and Yale. I mean, not just one, both. You know, I don't know who the elites are. I went to SUNY Albany and St. John's. Am I elite? Is he calling me an elite? It drives me nuts. He's an idiot. He has no chance. And when he punches, it looks forced. When Chris Christie punches, it looks like it's supposed to look. and he's very good at it. I mean, he single-handedly ended Marco Rubio's presidential ambitions ever. I mean, it was him.
Yeah.
He had no chance of winning that primary, but when Chris Christie took him apart in that debate, Marco Rubio was gone. So the question I have for these Republican wannabes is, are they all going to follow what I think is going to be Chris Christie's lead and start attacking Trump mercilessly so that Trump's numbers come down? Because before you could try to rise to the top, you need to take this guy out. And while he's still hovering around 60% in the GOP primary, there is no lane for anybody to become president or be the nominee of the Republican Party. So I think that what happened in 2016 was they all took turns being his buddy, and then they all lost. So I think what they should all do now is all gang up on. They should have a meeting without him. And they should, go to a Baskin Robbins or something, get a scoop of whatever Republicans eat. I would imagine it's pistachio, and just go and say, okay, we're gonna get this guy. We're all gonna take shots at him every day. We're gonna take merciless shots at him for the next month. We're not gonna talk about any of us. We're gonna just talk about him and how bad he is for America all the time. And if they did that, maybe they get him down to around 30%, and then maybe one of them can win. So
let me ask you this, though, because we see the breaking news, and it's been breaking all day long. So about now, it's about broken. There's a tape now, evidently, Trump admitting that there's some classified documents that he had. There's something here. I've taken this as potentially they've thrown this out as just kind of a primer that indictments are going to come. Kind of to quash down any potential violence or anything along those lines.
One of the reasons I like coming on your show is that you and I are both liberals, but we're Gen X liberals. So we're a little bit more realistic than some of our millennial and Gen Z brethren. Let me explain to them right now. Doesn't freaking matter. Okay? This is like the 90th time we've got him. We've got him. Oh, we've got him. No, we don't. Because his base does not care. Right? So he will still be there. They all think it's a conspiracy. They don't believe me and you. They only believe him. So, yeah, maybe these prosecutors have a case against him, and maybe they, slap a fine on him at some point. I don't know. CNN's been plugging this tape all day, but they haven't played it.
Nobody's got it.
Nobody's got it. I'm sorry. I don't think it matters one bit. Politically, it might matter in the legal cases. Maybe it causes them to bring an indictment against him. But again, I've said this to you before. He's never going to jail. And anything short of him going to jail means he's still in the presidential race. And quite frankly, he's got to be taken out both by us or by his own people. I mean, they need to form a coalition among all the Republican wannabes for president to go after this guy. Because look, there's nobody more dangerous than Donald Trump.
I agree.
And I do think there's nobody that is easier to beat than Donald Trump, but he doesn't have a zero chance of becoming president. In fact, I put it like 35%, which is pretty damn good. That's that's a 2 in 5 chance of becoming president of the United States, and 2 in 5 chances come in a lot. So it's not something that I want to play a game with. I would rather go up against Chris Christie, who I don't agree with on most things, but at least he's a rational human being who's not going to burn this country to the ground.
Would you rather have Christie up against Biden? Because there's part of me that goes, the only way I think we move forward as a country is by taking Trump out at the ballot box.
Yes,
by having that.
But I think if the Republican Party can take him out at the ballot box, I think that's good. I think that's better than us waiting for the results on election night in November, and having riots in the streets from skinheads who think that this guy wins no matter what. It's time for this guy to take a beating, and somebody's got to bring the fight to him. I mean, one of the reasons why, look, I worked for Chuck Schumer. You know this, right?
Yeah.
And Alphonse D'Amato was senator here in New York, a state that should not have had a Republican senator or Republican governor. It was overwhelmingly Democratic, even in the 80s and 90s when D'Amato was flourishing in politics. And what happened was every 6 years, D'Amato would face a very gentlemanly opponent who wouldn't mix it up with D'Amato until Chuck Schumer came along and punched him in the face. And that was it. down he
Figuratively,
went.
of course.
Figuratively, of course, right? I don't I don't subscribe to violence in politics. I'm using metaphors. Until one of these Republicans are willing to go sharp at this guy every day, relentlessly, and bring it all up.
Yep.
The five kids from the three wives, the crime, the scams, the charity stuff. Bring it all up like it's not coming from me. Coming from Chris Christie, coming from Ron DeSantis, coming from, Tim Scott or Nikki Haley or Mike Pence. Mike Pence needs to come out in his announcement next week and say, that man tried to kill me. And not only did he try to kill me, he tried to tear apart the United States Constitution. And he has no business being on the ballot for my party. And if he doesn't say that, forget him. He's worthless to American politics.
Will Mother let him do that, though? I mean,
I don't think so. I think he needs to, I think he needs to stay calm. That's the way they like to do things in whatever weird religion he's part of. So I don't think
because that's the answer right there. The guy tried to murder me. He tried to have me
get out
hung.
there. Mike Pence did the right thing. I'm sorry. Mike Pence did the right thing. Like hat tip to Kevin McCarthy today. Did the right thing.
Yeah.
Right. He doesn't always do the right thing. Mostly does the wrong thing, but he did the right thing today.
Blind squirrel found the nut.
Right. Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. He stood firm. Not only did he the right thing, he did a very courageous thing by staying in the Capitol. I respect him for that. He needs to take advantage of that. He needs to say, that guy tried to kill me and the United States Constitution, and I didn't let him. And if he says things like that, maybe he'll have a chance to win some delegates to the Republican National Convention. I don't think so.
No chance.
Because I don't think so either. But you know what? What does he have to lose by saying that? How delusional of a human being is he? Look, I tend to subscribe to Malcolm X a little bit. And when people try to kill you, any means necessary. Get out there and fight back, Mike. What's wrong with you?
No, it's the same thing I say about Democrats. I've always.
And by the way, tell your social media people not to quote me on that one because it's too easily cancelable, and I don't want to be misquoted.
Yeah, heaven forbid we're canceled.
Get the stenographer out there. That's what I really said.
No, but here's the thing, and I've always said this about Democrats. In a street fight, the best you're going to get out of a Democrat is an offer to hold your coat.
Right.
I want people who are going to ball up their digits and get in there and mix it up.
The only way to do it.
And this is what we need. We need people who are going to fight for working class values, fight to move things forward. But here's the thing, and this is where
it's why I have the nickname the aggressive progressive.
I got it. That's why
right?
I love you.
And,
I love you, brother.
It's like people think it means I'm the biggest progressive. No, I want to win.
Yep.
I want to win.
No, and this is where I think where Trump has this advantage of he doesn't have to produce anything. He's got this godlike.
Yeah.
His base has put him up on this pedestal. They never
Right.
hold him accountable for the things he never does. There's no wall. He didn't make their lives better. He didn't bring manufacturing back.
No,
he didn't
in
do
fact-
any of that stuff.
In fact, his buddies scammed him into paying for a wall, and then he gave them pardons when they got convicted for it by his own Justice Department. It wasn't my Justice Department. It wasn't the Biden Justice Department that convicted Trump's allies that he let out of jail. It was his own Justice Department, Bill freaking Barr.
Yeah.
Come on. And they're going to just let this guy walk back in there. Nikki Haley's going to say some mildly, strong things to him. No, I'm sorry, Nikki Haley, you know better. Okay. You've been around guys like Trump your whole life. It's in your book. You need to start pushing back.
Going to be interesting to see how this plays out. You're listening to the Rick Smith Show with Chris Hansen, the syndicated radio host and host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast. Wherever you find your favorite podcast, you'll find that. Also, check out his website, ChristopherHahn.com. We'll get
By the way, one thing I'll say about guys like Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, I don't like their politics, but if they lose an election, they're going to tip their hat and say congratulations. And that's what American politics used to be, right? We can't have a guy on running on a major party line who is going to say, I won no matter what.
Yeah.
And he's going to get some people to believe him. And let me tell you something. I think it's going to be worse next time. We're going to be prepared for it. but it's going to be worse.
No, we've normalized crybabies, and it was
Yep.
when we were kids. If you lost a
Whiny
game,
little. Am I allowed to say the B word on this show?
I'd prefer you not.
Whiny. Okay, I won't say it, and I don't like saying it because I do have one, and they are beautiful dogs. I don't like
Beautiful, yes, we'll go there.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
but this is one of those things where when we were kids, we're about the same age. You lost at something, you sucked it up, you shook someone's hand. I'll get you next time.
Yeah,
Now it's just a bunch of kids throwing temper tantrums and lashing out. And speaking of temper
By the way,
tantrums,
the reason I made my kids play sports was to learn how to lose.
Yeah, no,
not
absolutely.
to learn how to win, to learn how to lose.
I'm with you on that. So I want to get to this before I let you go.
Yep.
I don't know if you've been noticing the cancel culture on the right. You remember all the whining and complaining? Because you said a moment ago you're afraid of getting canceled. That's because of all those lefties you're afraid of. But it's the right now
I'm not afraid
canceling
of getting
everybody.
canceled.
In fact, I got to get your thoughts on the canceling. I get going after Bud Light. I get going after Target. I get going after Walmart. I get that. I don't get going after Chick-fil-A.
They're going after Chick-fil-A now?
Yes, because they hired back in 2021 one of those DIE or DEI executives, and it's the end. They're canceled.
Here's what I have to say to my conservative friends out there. Maybe they should try to look up what capitalism is, right? And they should understand that corporations don't do things because they're in a good mood and they like people. They're not trying to be nice. They're not trying to advance a social agenda. They're trying to make money. And the reason why corporations are trying to appeal to the LGBTQ community is twofold. One, they would like their business too. But more importantly, the generation we all care about for our advertising dollars are the Gen Zs who really care about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Nobody cares what you and I want to buy. They think that we're set in our way. If you like a Ford, you buy a Ford. It is what it is at this point. You drink the same beer now you probably drank 20 years ago. And we're not trying new things, but Gen Z is, and they care about that, which is why Chick-fil-A and Walmart and Target and Bud Light and the NF freaking L have diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and will appeal to the LGBTQ community, to women, and to other people that these God-fearing capitalists don't want, because they don't understand capitalism.
Yep.
They're honestly what they are socialists. Or worse.
I'm
they
going
are
fascist.
communists. Yeah, well, they're fascist. They're nationalist socialists, but I won't go there because
Now you're
show.
defining stuff. Now
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
losing.
yeah.
What I'm waiting for now, since they've been going after Chick-fil-A, is when did they go after the Masterpiece Cake Shop, which started all this stuff? When did they go after the cake maker that started all of this?
I mean, it's so bizarre, right? They're going after Chick-fil-A. That was like. I remember the debates back in, I don't know, was it 2012 when people were boycotting Chick-fil-A because of their support of these conservative groups that were, anti-LGBTQ, and some of my gay friends had a real hard time boycotting Chick-fil-A, frankly, because they really liked it. But the fact that, that was like the conservative safe space,
right.
Chick-fil-A.
Exactly.
So for them to now say they're going to boycott that, I don't know, what are they going to do? Just cook at home? I guess they're going to just cook at home. I mean, but where are they going to get their chicken from? Because Purdue probably has diversity, equity, inclusion. Every corporation does. It is a ridiculous thing. And they're not, again, I want to stress this so that there could be no misconception. They are not doing it because they like diversity, equity, and inclusion. They are doing it because of their bottom line, because they are capitalists. And that's how capitalism works.
Yep. Well, to finish up with Rupert Murdoch. It's not about red or blue.
Oh, it's about green. And I will tell you this, for somebody who worked at Fox News, they have a diversity, equity, and inclusion program there. Okay?
No.
They do. Yeah, they have a chief diversity officer like every other big corporation in America. And they have, by the way, they had a recycling program. I mean, they had a whole thing, all sorts of things that viewers probably were like, what? Oh, and guess what? A lot of the people who work there are actors and liberals.
Yeah. No, I'm heading to the Talkers Conference here tomorrow and Friday.
Is it at Hofstra? You're going to Hofstra?
I'm going to Hofstra tomorrow, and
yeah, it's on Long Island where I am. I just unfortunately can't be there.
And it's one of those things where every time I go to these things, it's exactly what you said. It's not about the message or the ideology. It's about the sale.
It is.
It just is what it is. And when you pull back the veneer on a lot of these right wing mouthpieces, it's not about red or blue. It really, truly, honestly is about green.
And by the way, all this outrage is artificially manufactured by people trying to make some money.
That's it.
They want some
bottom line.
clean. They want some clicks. It's disgusting, and there's a special place in hell for them.
There you go. Good stuff. Chris, I appreciate the time, man. Always great stuff.
Anytime, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Our good friend Christopher Hahn. Check out the website, ChristopherHahn.com. The Aggressive Progressive Podcast. Find that. We'll get links out on social media. You can take a look at it. Can take a quick break. Right back after this. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people of the talk. I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1987. That was the day that Rose Will Monroe, one of the women who came to be known as Rosie the Riveter, died in Clarksville, Indiana. She was 77 years old. Rose had gone to work in a factory making B-52 bombers in Ypsilanti, Michigan during World War II. She was one of thousands of women in the United States who entered the industrial workforce to support the war effort, while more and more men entered the armed forces. While Rose Will Monroe worked at the factory, the image of Rosie the Riveter was already becoming perhaps one of the most iconic symbols of U.S. labor. The nickname Rosie the Riveter was first used in a song in 1942. The song was inspired by another real-life Rosie. Rosalind P. Walter worked during the war building Corsair fighter planes. Along with the song, a popular poster showed Rosie with a red kerchief tied around her hair, sleeves rolled up, arm muscles flexed, showing the strength of women workers. "We Can Do It" was emblazed across the top of the poster. Then, an actor by the name of Walter Pidgeon visited the Ypsilanti factory. He was helping to make a promotional film to support the war effort at home. When he found out there was a real Rosie who worked as a riveter in the plant, he recruited her for the film. The image of Rosie the Riveter lives on as a symbol of labor and women's empowerment.
All the day long, whether rain or shine, she's a part of the assembly line. She's making history, working for victory. Rosie, the Riveter, keeps a sharp lookout for sabotage. Sitting up there on the fuselage, that little frail can do more than a man can do. Rosie, the Riveter.
Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com.
Time on the riveting machine when they gave her a production.
You're listening to The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk.
I gotta tell you, it's been really interesting watching the extreme right whine and complain about the woke and the cancel culture, only to go on a whiny, hissy fit rage fest. I mean, it really has been just to sit back and watch the hypocrisy and the idiocy and going after their own safe space. Chick-fil-A is just, look, it just shows that their rage is the point. It's not about, they don't care about diversity or equity or kids, or it's not about any of that. It's about tearing apart the country. It's about ripping things up. It's about breaking things. It's about like a 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. These are attention seekers. These are chaos merchants. All they care about is getting seen, getting clicks and views. Because without the camera, without that thing going, I see you, without that, there's nothing. It's not about protecting the children. It's not even about protecting their white privilege or anything like that. It's about getting attention and then getting more attention and more and more and more. Because, quite frankly, they're whiny children. And as I've said, without these cameras, without, I'm going to get you, without these gotcha moments, no one cares about them. The thing that, Chris and I agree on as Gen Xers, you take care of bullies. When we were kids, you'd have done half this stuff in our neighborhoods. It wouldn't have happened. But understand, the outrage is the point. The issue doesn't matter. The issues never matter. It's about the rage and it's about the money. It really is. I have had numerous conversations over the years with folks who do right-wing outrage radio. I try not to be the outrage merchants. I try not to be in that world of, what you get here is you get my opinion, what I really believe. There's no sales behind what I say. Now, I do find it interesting, and I've gone to these conferences in the past, of which we're going to be taking a couple of days off to attend. And it really is. It's about the money. It's about the sale. It's about keeping people tuned in. It's about the issue. In fact, John Cooper, somebody I follow on Twitter, wrote a story about when he met Sean Hannity, and it was evidently he had done something as a county executive about passing for some kind of a bill that it was going to make people's lives better or safer, and Hannity just ran over it. And then afterwards said, hey, I love the bill. That was great. And it made him look like an idiot and was against it on air. But behind the scenes said, no, it's actually going to help save people's lives. It's probably a good thing. The on-air persona and the off-air completely different because it's about keeping people riveted in their anger. It's about keeping people all riled up and bunched up in the panties and going after, the boogeyman. And it's always the other. You put whoever you want in that category, and that's who the right wing is going to point the outrage machine towards. It's outrageous, but it's about the money. Simple.
Tonight, most of the island is without power, and officials say they're only just beginning to survey the damage.
Super Typhoon Mawar slams into Guam. Global heating could expose billions to unlivable temperatures by 2100. Plus,
stop right now, no more oil and gas, stop running fossil fuels and end this madness.
Climate activists disrupt oil industry shareholder meetings.
In song, all of those stories and more straight ahead from BradBlog.com. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
Stand by for 6 minutes of independent green news, politics, analysis, and snarky comment.
My friends across the aisle, the Grand Appliance Party is going to make sure your gas stove goes nowhere. The good news for you today is that if you have to shutter your business because the country defaults, your gas stove will still be there.
Oh, I feel much better. This is your Green News Report.
I look forward to the legislation of our time, the Appliance Bill of Rights.
Okay, Desi Doyen, it kind of spun up out of nowhere overnight, but a huge storm in Guam.
Yes, nearly the entire island of Guam is now without electricity after Super Typhoon Mawar rapidly intensified just before slamming into the U.S. Pacific Island territory as a powerful Category 4 storm on Wednesday. An unprecedented 9th Category 4 or 5.
KCAA Loma Linda. The Legacy KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. President Biden will speak to the nation this evening about the debt ceiling bill. The Senate approved the measure Thursday after the House passed it Wednesday evening, averting the possibility of a catastrophic government default. Stocks are rising on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has been up more than 600 points in today's session. This comes after the jobs report came in stronger than expected. Former Vice President Mike Pence won't be charged in connection to classified documents found at his Indiana home. NBC News reports the Department of Justice informed Pence's attorney that the investigation was closed and no charges will come based on results of the probe. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis visited 3 South Carolina cities this morning. Scott Kimbler has more.
His first stop on his visit to our state for the first time since officially announcing his 2024 bid for the White House is in Beaufort County.
It is great to be back in the state of South Carolina. I am happy to say that our great American comeback will officially begin when we send Joe Biden back to his basement in the state of Delaware.
DeSantis will also be making stops in Lexington and Greenville. It is getting to be a more crowded ticket for the GOP primary. Other contenders include former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, and, of course, former President Donald Trump.
Actor and radio host Danny Bonaducci is having brain surgery next week. Michael Kastner reports.
Come on now and meet everybody.
The Partridge Family star told TMZ he's been unable to walk or balance since last April due to a neurological disorder caused by a buildup of liquid in the brain. He hopes those symptoms will be gone after his surgery on Monday. Bonaducci isn't sure how he got the illness, but he said it might have something to do with all of the stupid things he's done, like boxing Jose Canseco.
It's
and
that
getting
time
hit
of
in
year
the head
again.
with a
No,
guitar.
not the holidays. Medicare open enrollment. And if you have questions about Medicare, you should talk to the local experts. Paul Barrich and Associates. Paul and his agents are certified with plans that are accepted by most of the medical groups in our area. Call 909-793-0385. Their services are free, and after 41 years in the business, their agents are trained to help you pick the plan that's right for you.
In these trying times, many people are depressed and lost because the future of our society is up in the air. If you're turning to substance abuse because you're feeling there is no hope, we have a way for you to see the light. SAD, or Stop Abusing Drugs, is a nonprofit organization that will help you at no cost to you stop abusing drugs. Founded by Tony Navarchi, SAD will refer you to the top detox doctors in your area. SAD will pay every and any cost for you, including doctor visits, counseling, and medications. If you need help, SAD is there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you or a loved one needs help, or if you have a suggestion or idea for Tony, you can reach out to him by calling 844-493-3386. That's 844-493-3386. Or email Tony at tony@saddetox.com.
This segment is sponsored by Pressprint, Southern California's best full-service union printer and mail house. They offer the lowest prices around with unmatched service and reliability and free delivery throughout SoCal. Pressprint can print anything from letterhead, business cards, and campaign literature to mailers of any size, lawn signs, banners, door hangers, or just about anything you might want. Pressprint promises to save money for you, your business, or your campaign. If you'd like to learn more, contact
The message of Brother Stare lives on here in Southern California on KCAA, Monday through Friday from 1 to 5 a.m. Hear the worldwide broadcast of the Overcomer Ministry from the Faith Cathedral Fellowship. Call for prayer requests or to make a donation at area 8435-991215.
You've eaten lots of great food and not so great food at restaurants. Cowboy Burgers in Fontana and now in Arlington and Riverside will fast become one of your favorites with their delicious, mouth-watering burgers and breakfast burritos. Cowboy Burgers and Barbecue also serves fantastic smoked barbecue baby back ribs, tri-tip, chicken, pulled pork sandwiches, as well as lunch and dinner plates. Everything is made from scratch, including their delicious side dishes like coleslaw, potato salad, barbecue beans, and much, much more. Check out their rich, decadent chocolate brownies.
Hi, I'm food critic Alan Borgen, and you can dine in, take food out, or have them cater your next special event. I highly recommend Cowboy Burgers and Barbecue at their new location at 5573 Arlington Avenue in Riverside. Just look them up on the internet. That's Cowboy Burgers and Barbecue. Happy eating!
And perfect for the holidays, Cowboy Burgers and Barbecue is also available for catering. That's Cowboy Burgers and Barbecue in Fontana and now in Riverside on Arlington.
Listening to the Tahibo Tea Club radio show, hosted by Milan Vukovic, founder of the Tahibo Tea Club.
Now, some of the topics that we're going to also discuss on today's program are going to be Tahibo tea versus AIDS, anemia, arthritis, asthma, bronchitis, all types of cancers, candida, colitis, diabetes, diverticulitis, eczema, fungus, gastritis, gonorrhea, gout, HIV, impotence, infections, leukemia, lupus, prostatitis, pyorrhea, rheumatism, ringworm, ulcers, viruses, and yeast infections. Now, our tea has no contraindications with any food, supplement, or medication. It's naturally caffeine-free and can be drank in any quantity throughout the day by anyone over the age of 3. In my family, everyone from my 23-year-old son to my 89-year-old father drinks the tea all day, every day instead of water. I just drink water 3 or 4 times a week when I get tired of drinking the tea. Tahibo tea naturally helps the body, the organs, and the immune system to heal themselves to be doing what they're supposed to be doing in the first place. Besides the beneficial properties that I already mentioned, since the tea works through the bloodstream, it helps fortify the blood for those who are anemic, while cleansing the blood of cholesterol, helping to control high blood pressure and blood sugar. Now, if you're currently taking medications for a condition, please continue taking them until your measurements are at a level where your doctor tells you to reduce the level of medication. For example, if you're a diabetic, you should be taking your blood sugar level daily in order to know your correct current dose of insulin, and you already know how to adjust it. Now, talking about diabetes, it's one of the easiest diseases that one can actually see our T working on a daily, weekly basis because they're taking their blood sugar measurements on a daily basis. So let's say a diabetic is taking on average 40 units of insulin per day, and so they need to take their blood sugar daily because some days they'll be taking 30 units of insulin and other days they'll be taking 50 units. Well, that's a huge change of 40% that they need to know about. So they keep taking their medication, they start drinking a tea. In 2 to 3 weeks, they'll notice they only need 30 units of insulin on average per day. In 4 to 6 weeks, they'll notice they only need 20 units of insulin per day. And in 6 to 8 weeks, they'll notice they only need 10 units of insulin per day. And in 8 to 10 weeks, they'll notice that they don't need to take insulin anymore. So even though the complete healing period is 2 to 3 months, they can see the healing right before their very eyes. Now, the reason it's important to continue taking insulin or any other medication that a person is on is because the T is not a drug that is replacing a drug that the person is taking. The T is literally healing the organs to do what they were supposed to do in the first place. And let's face it, none of us is getting any younger. In a case of type 2 diabetes, it's helping to heal the pancreas to produce and release its most important hormone, insulin, and that's what it's supposed to be doing anyhow. So with a little bit of effort towards good nutrition, exercise, and our tea, you'll be able to get off of insulin or other diabetes drugs in about 2 months. And not only that, many times diabetics are overweight, not because they're eating 5 times as much as everyone else, but because, of course, their organs are not processing blood sugar properly and metabolizing food properly.
Tehibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TehiboTeaClub.com. Tehibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TehiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TehiboTeaClub.com. Tehibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TehiboTeaClub.com. Tehibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TehiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TehiboTeaClub.com.
Now, this next segment is a segment with live listener call-ins from previous shows, and you'll be hearing their questions, their successes, and their experiences with Tehibo tea. So please do give us a call and let us know how the tea works for you. Thank you.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm doing well. I'm trying to figure out, I have my son that has not strep throat, he has a sore throat.
Uh-huh.
So I was trying to figure out what would be best with the Tebow tea.
Yeah, absolutely. Besides drinking it, the tea also works topically. So what you can do is you can have your son gargle with the tea, say once every half hour or so. We had a really, really interesting case where a customer of ours that's in her 60s calls one day, and she says to me, can pregnant women drink the tea? And I says, no, we don't recommend it for pregnant women because an embryo has different nutritional needs than a child or an adult. So we recommend it for children from the ages of 3 years and up. And I says, but why do you ask? Because I knew she wasn't of childbearing age anymore, right? And I said, but why do you ask? She says, my daughter has a strep throat and she can't take antibiotics because she's pregnant. And so I was wondering if she could drink the tea. I says, well, just have her gargle with the tea. And she doesn't have to drink it. She can just gargle with it. The very next day she called me up and she says, this is the funniest thing that you ever saw. My daughter started gargling with the tea once every half hour. And after about 4 hours, all that white crap, the strep throat stuff, was gone and had fallen out, she says. And then my daughter took a flashlight and she's flashing it into a mirror back into her mouth to see what the heck happened. She goes, it was really, truly remarkable. Yeah, so for any conditions that you can apply the tea topically, whether it's on the skin or if it's in the mouth, sore throat, strep throat, anything like that, you can gargle with the tea and that'll get rid of it very, very short order.
Okay, so how much at a time per gargle?
Just enough to gargle with, just like if you were going to gargle with Listerine or something, I mean, just
okay, sure.
Just like a good whiskey shot glass.
Sure.
It doesn't need to be a lot, just like 1 ounce or whatever the case is. Just gargle with it for like a minute or so, and then and you'll see. And if he does that once every half hour, he's going to see that like in 4 hours, I mean, that pain will be completely gone. Now he hasn't knocked out all the bacteria yet, so he still needs to keep drinking the tea, or else the stuff is going to come back.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other? Yeah. If that's it, I'll thank you very much for calling.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good morning, listener. You're live on the air with Milan Vukovic. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, Milan. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. And yourself?
Oh, we're doing really good, Milan. I just thought I'd let you know, it's kind of a sad note, really, though. My wife was in a serious car accident, and everything is picking up well now, but I spent 2 months in the hospital with her every day, and I was drinking, and I was taking your tea in. I would take in 6 glasses at least a day, and all the nurses and doctors kept asking me, how do you drink so much coffee and stuff? And I said, well, I'll tell you one thing. I said, this isn't coffee. And I said, this is supposed to be a tea that's really good for you. So what I would do every day, Milan, is I've ordered from you a few times before, so I had some of your flyers, and I bet you I gave from 6 to 8 flyers away to the doctors and nurses in there for you. And I know of at least 2. Yeah, and I know of at least 2 doctors that ordered and 2 nurses that ordered it. So
Absolutely.
I just thought I'd let you know.
I really appreciate that, and anytime you need any more of the informational booklets, or if anyone wants the informational booklets, they can just give us a call, and we'll send them out as many informational booklets as they like. One time I got a call from a man up in Northern California. And he calls up, he says, could I buy some of those booklets that you automatically include with every order? I says, you don't have to buy them. I says, we print them for informational purposes. We'll send you as many as you like. He says, no, he says, you don't understand. He says, I was literally dying on my deathbed with terminal cancer, he goes. And he says, now I'm completely recovered, and everybody at my church wants to know what happened, and I need like 800 of them. I go, no problem, man. We'll send you 1,000. Don't worry about it.
Well, yeah. I just thought the tea's been really good for me and my arthritis, and when I was spending time up there in the hospital, I know that's exactly what was giving me all my energy and stamina to be up there through the days. And so I'm really pulling for you, Milan, because you've got a great product.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words. And in about an hour or so, once we get off the air, one of my employees will give you a call, and we'll send you out a complimentary package of our tea. And just let them know how many booklets you want. We normally send out 4 booklets with a 1 pound order, but we can send you 20 or 30 or 50, as many as you like.
Okay, well, I sure God bless everybody and all your callers, and we'll just be looking maybe next time to talk to you, Milan. Take care.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1 pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco